Well, welcome back to the ADAC Road to Sim Racing Expo. And well, for those eagle-eyed amongst you, there's a new face alongside me as we welcome officially to the ADAC Sim Racing Expo for 2024, Kieran McGinley. This man has got a past within sim racing. I've worked with him multiple times. I think GTR 24H, World Pro Racing. But Kieran, firstly, officially, on behalf of the whole team at not just the Sim Racing Expo, but organisers and promoters Southwest Vision, welcome to the crew. First time alongside us, alongside me for a very long time. But how are things? You looking forward to tonight?
Very much looking forward to tonight. I'm just wiping off the last bit of rust on me from our partnership, so hopefully it won't be too bad tonight. But no, I've having a quick look at sort of the previous rounds, seeing how it's all going. We'll take you through the point standings shortly, but I'm very much looking forward to this. A very good machine in the LMP3, some great varieties of tracks, and we head to the Lausitzring tonight.
Yeah, we've already had 2 rounds on the calendar so far, the Norisring, and last time out a few weeks ago on the 11th of August, we headed to the Nürburgring sprint circuit. We saw some great action. You're going to catch up with the highlights in just a few moments' time. But yeah, we do have a smaller grid like we did a couple of weeks ago. So the format has slightly changed for tonight. There's going to be 2 20-minute races, but we're going to have a 10-minute qualifying session. Race 1, 20 minutes, standing start. And then for race 2, we're going to invert the top 10 and send them on their merry way. Of course, the prizes have been officially announced for the winner of the 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. They will get an Asetek Simsports Forte S pedal set worth around €625. Second will get a €250 voucher at the Asetek Simsports web shop. And third will get €100 worth of a shop voucher. But Leon Harhoff has been the talking point of the opening 2 rounds. Dominant. Mats Windhausen has gotten close, but not close enough. I mean, looking at the track that we've got tonight, we're going to give you an indication of what the Lausitzring DTM layout has looked like over the years. The circuit has been around since 2003. Had the opportunity to go there for the DTM Motorsport Festival back in 2016 when it was very much a heat wave, smack bang in the middle of June. But this circuit is going to be technical, but also going to provide great overtaking opportunities. But Kieran, like I said, Leon Harhoff has been the tour de force in this championship so far, and has quite a lot of points at the moment. 239 points. Igor Wojowski, who has been at the sharp end as well. They've both been doing double duty as well because they've been running in the Digital GT 500, which returns next week for its midway point. Only 28 points separate them. Then we go a little bit further down. Well, we don't go further down in terms of positions, but mainly in terms of the points. 138 points for Dan Sedgley in third. Mats Windhausen and Thomas Coate round out the top 5 on 136 and 134 apiece. So third place is looking rather competitive in terms of how much action we're going to have out on track over not just this one, because we've got Sachsenring for round 4, and then you, the community, will vote for round 5, which will be taking place on the Friday afternoon, live and direct from the Dortmund Messe on the 18th of October, and thereby we will then crown our winner of the 2024 ADAC SimRacing Expo Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Welcome to everyone watching on both YouTube and on Twitch as well. We've got Leon Harhoff being given a shout out on YouTube. How about on Twitch, Kieran? I'm sure there's some comments coming in already.
Well, not just yet. We're just warming up at the moment, but send in your comments. We'll read them out as and when they come in. When we get a chance, obviously, we'll have to filter those through the action as well. If there's any action like there was last time out with Wozowski and Oscar Soprich as well on the penultimate lap, I think it was, the battling side by side between them, getting the move done early on. I mean, we're going to find it tough, but we'll fit in your shout outs in there, I'm sure.
Yep. So you know what we do? We're going to go into the highlights for round 2. Here's the look back at round 2 at Nürburgring Sprint, where we had one race, but it all came down to the wire for 2 particular drivers. Nürburgring Sprint Circuit would be the second venue of the 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. As, with a shortened field, we ended up going straight into qualifying for the points final. And it was points leader Leon Harhoff who continued to exert his dominant presence over this competition by securing pole position ahead of the likes of Mats Windhausen, Timur Kat, Oscar Soprich, Julius Wieser, Igor Wojowski, Alexandra Farrell, and so many others when the checkered went out. With plenty of wheel spin and 11s on the start-finish straight, the whole field made its way down to the Haughagen for the opening time. Julius Wieser would come under strife, dropping from 5th, having been turned around on the opening lap. Dan Sedgley and Alexandre Forel were having a really good battle through into the AMG arena on the second lap of the race, battling for 7th. Timur Kat would be putting Mats Windhausen under pressure, who at times would overcook his brakes heading into certain parts of the circuit itself. But on lap 5, Timur Kat would spin around, collecting Wojowski, and the pair would collide. Julius Wieser was on the comeback trail, battling away with Lorenzo Lutriciusi, as the pair would contest over multiple laps the battle for 9th. Igor Wozowski, however, trying to come back from his incident with Timur Kat earlier on in the race, would close on in and attempt to pass multiple times his chief competition, Oscar Soprich, who for the majority of the race held on to P3. It was a game of cat and mouse between Soprich and Wojowski, with the former on full defence, the latter on full push and full attack, right up until the checkered. After over 10 minutes, finally the breakthrough was made by Julius Wiese as he closed in on Thomas Cope from Olympus Esports. However, the number 33 would end up rally crossing through the final chicane, heading into a Coca-Cola corner behind Thomas Cope with both their back axles bouncing up into the air. Next up on the next lap at Warsteiner, Wiese would go to the inside line, find his back end stepping out and then collecting Cope in the process. But the best action was saved right up until the final lap as through the cut through. Igor Wojciechowski, defiant to the last and determined to get through on Oskar Soprich, stealing third place on the last lap. But Leon Harhoff continues his dominant run, winning 2 points finals in a row. Can anyone beat him tonight? Yeah, Igor Wazowski's move on the last lap through the shortcut on Oskar Soprich was an absolute pleasure to witness. But we're just getting word that time qualifying is actually underway. Drivers are pulling out from the pit lane at the Lausitzring. This particular variation of the circuit will have 12 turns in all, measures just over 3.6 kilometers in length, has been open for just over 2 decades. And there we have Julius Wiese, one of our many competitors. He's running in the number 21, the Duquesne LMP3 car. Well, why have we gone for that car? Well, mainly because of the fact that Andre and the team at Asetek, they actually have one that they bring to the Expo every single year. So it's going to be a 10-minute qualifying session. The grid will be decided by this qualifying session for race 1, and then race 2 will invert the top 10 and have whoever finishes 10th goes on reverse grid pole position. But you know what, let's head on board with Julius Wiese on a hot lap here at the Lausitzring itself. You can see very much the case of using part of the oval section here at the circuit, and the top speeds here, Kieran, are going to be rather high, probably the best part of about 270, 280 kilometers an hour. So plenty of opportunities for these drivers to get some really good overtakes done on the bank sections.
Absolutely. Use that banking to its full advantage and use the top speed of these ferocious machines as much as possible. But of course, when it gets to it, you've got that winding section we're going through now of turns 1 to 5, where you then rejoin the banking very briefly as you leave the circuit at turn 6. Bringing you through all the way the rest of the lap in the infield section. So yes, a very brief appearance on the banking, on the oval, if you like. It's very much a very technical circuit, quite a balanced circuit. This circuit has a little bit of everything: high speed corners, heavy braking zones as well. So as you say, there's going to be quite a few moves sized up for overtakes during the race, I'm sure.
Yeah, so there's Julius Wiese currently running P4 at the moment, as we ride on board with current championship leader Leon Harhoff across the line here at 5th gear, 160 miles per hour. We're actually going to go through the banking here at turn 1, and you can just see the amount of commitment. He's fully planted on the apex, brings it round through down the back straightaway, heading into what would effectively be one of the very heaviest braking zones. So down the gearbox into 3rd gear, 80 miles an hour, bouncing over the curbing into the right, now into the next left-hander. You can see that the suspension travel very much prevalent on these Duquesne LMP3 cars, naturally aspirated V8s. So it's the long run here into the last part of the infield section, which will bring you into roundabout sort of turn 8. Then it's turn 7. You're just going to have to sort of be very dainty on the throttle, accelerate out of the corner, run the car wide, and then up the gearbox once again, 150 miles an hour, down to 2nd gear, dropping it to under 60 miles an hour. And then again, he's just trying to put that power down a little bit too early, is Leon Harhoff, a little bit too eager on the loud pedal, but he's just trying to make it stick so he can get through this final part. And then you've got to be very careful how you line up coming out through the final couple of corners, but then you've got to pull the car to the left-hand side and then just really use the maximum amounts of velocity. And let's see, does he improve on this lap time? Well, he's currently 2nd at the moment, because looks like Passione has gone top of the timesheets by 3/100ths of a second. So that's Leonardo Passione. We've also got Dan Maynardo, Julius Wiese, Lorenzo Lutericusi, Oskar Soprich, Gilles Samui, Maximilian Damm, and also along with that, Carl Palatini rounding out the 9 strong, but Passioni top of the timesheets, and he's extended that gap as well. He's gone nearly 3/10 quicker than Leon Harhoff. Of course, now we've introduced a drop score here as well, and a very warm welcome to the latest partner of the Sim Racing Expo, to Ready Set Sim, who have joined the band of the brigade band, so to speak, along with Asetek Simsports, Gridfinder, Traction, Logitech G, and SimStaff, one of the latest partners, and they've said they're excited for the race. And yeah, well, Talent, who is the teammate of both Leon Harhoff and Maximilian Damm, is saying also excited for the race. 4 1/4 minutes still to go, but Leonardo Passioni in the number 17 has really put a warning shot across the bow for Leon Harhoff here in qualifying.
It'd be an understatement, wouldn't it? It would be a bit of a shock to the system at the moment, but yeah, Passioni is really setting the marker down ahead of Harhoff, and then it's Windhausen currently running in 3rd place, but you see the gaps at the moment starting to form in this qualifying session. Yes, top 5's covered by a second, but it's a clear 1/4 of a second for Passioni to really feel comfortable at this point, but still a handful of laps to go for our drivers before we get the qualifying session done and dusted. Here goes Windhausen. Is there an improvement on that one? Not this time around. So he'll get another bite at the cherry. If he's got the fuel for it, there's 3 laps in there.
Yeah, very much the case there, Kieran. Oscar Soprich now up into 4th position, 7/10 off of Leonardo Passioni's sterling effort so far in this qualifying session, with just over 3 minutes to go, and you can see how close Mats Windhausen, who is 3rd at the moment, very close to the wall, and heading into the braking zone, and he's down a little bit in the opening sector, 22.0 for the number 33, running in the KCMG livery as well, which also reminds me of days dealing with the likes of Paul Ip. KCMG runs in Super Formula, also used to run in the LMP3 class in World Endurance Championship racing. But Windhausen looking to hopefully improve over the course of this lap. Leonardo Passioni, is he going to break the timing beam a little bit later than usual? Looks to be the case, because his best effort, yeah, 4.3 seconds down. I think he's going to wind up to one final attempt, but it's also what Leon Harhoff does in the dying moments. I mean, he's 3/10 off of Passioni. Windhausen half a second off in 3rd. Dan Maynardo has ended up going into the pit lane in 5th place. And we've got Visa, Lutriciusi, Alexandre Forel. Maximilian Damm now moves up to 7th on a 1:28.028. Leonardo Passioni, well, comes across the line for what could be his penultimate lap in this qualifying session. And as you rightly said, Kieran, 1.5 minutes to get round this circuit, there or thereabouts. Could really see the opportunity for some drivers maybe to improve, as the 11-strong grid covered by 1.3.
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, it's a very close grid with 11 drivers on there, 1.3 seconds separating the entire field. So should get us a bit of an action-packed first corner, at the very least. It's quite a heavy braking zone there, but from 7th to 9th, covered by, what's that, 4/100ths of a second? So mightily close between Damm, between Lutriciusi, Forel as well. So yeah, really, really good to see as Lutriciusi makes his way across the line, 4th fastest, 1:27.6, now onto the 2nd row of the grid. Still 6/10 shy of Passioni, though.
But nevertheless, a solid improvement by Lutriciusi as he makes his way down towards turn 1. Well, turn 2, effectively. Breaks the timing beam, about 1/10.5 off of the best effort so far. A 22.2 in the opening sector for the number 32. But with 45 seconds on the clock to go, Leon Harhoff, well, he's decimated that gap that Passioni had. He's got it down to 12 1/1000ths, and now he's on his final push laps. Look how close he is to the wall. Incredible bravado from the points leader in the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, Leon Harhoff, bouncing his way through the curbing. Only 22 thousandths off in the opening sector is the number 6, but you can see the amounts of waywardness on the suspension going through those opening couple of corners as the suspension bounds up and down. But Leon Harhoff's time could be bettered still. Someone has gone off. That could be Julius Visa. Luca, as Leonardo Passioni has gone sub 127. We're into the final couple of seconds here in qualifying. The checker will be out. The drivers will be given the opportunity to complete their final lap in this qualifying session. But Leonardo Passioni with a 1 minute 26.984 set to take pole position away from this man here, unless he can do something about it. It's going to be about the final run to the line. Leon Harhoff has got to put everything and put it all to the wall, so to speak here, Kieran.
Absolutely, get as close to the wall as you can and open up that circuit. But here comes Leon Harhoff, championship leader, makes his way across the line then and sets a 127.5, so it's not enough to try and take over pole position, because there is your provisional pole sitter, Leonardo Passioni, as he'll now make his way through and out of turn 12. It's a long way to the timing line. Can Leonardo Passioni get himself an even quicker time as he'll make his way, break the timing beam? No, it's not. 127.1, still about a tenth and a bit shy of beating his own personal best. And we'll have to see if Mats Windhausen will make an improvement there. Still 4/10 shy of Passioni's fantastic lap there, and pole position separated by 4/100ths of a second. As it stands though, that is Leonardo Passioni on pole position for race number 1. That was a great lap time considering he's 10th in the championship, and about 160 points separates our pole position man from Leon Harhoff. But that is a turn up for the books.
That is indeed. That is shots fired, because now Leon Harhoff knows that he's got someone who's going to be breathing down his neck all the way through that fast left-hand sweeper as they accelerate down into turn number 2. And more to the point, it's just incredible to see how much closer things have gotten. The drivers have gotten used to the Duquesne LMP3 car, which, as you'll find out at the SimRacing Expo between the 18th and the 20th, I call it the Asetek alarm clock, because you never know when they're going to fire that naturally aspirated V8 up. And it has, it catches the attention, so to speak. And if you are wondering where you can buy your tickets, head over to our partners at traction.gg, whether it be a daytime ticket or even a weekend ticket, to get yourself maybe a nice little bit of a discount. So Leonardo Passioni takes pole position, 126.984 by 43 thousandths, ahead of current points leader Leon Harhoff. Mats Windhausen, currently 4th in the standings on 136 points. 3rd, ahead of Leonardo Lutriciusi, who is 7th on 106 points. Then we've got Dan Maynardo, who isn't actually running, who's running 16th in the championship. Wasn't with us last time out at Nürburgring Sprint. But like you said, Kieran, I mean, it was so close between Maynardo and Soprich, 5/1000 separating the inside of row number 3. 12 drivers taking part in qualifying. It really does mean that we're going to have a fantastic couple of races. Of course, the top 10 will be reversed for race 2, and the points will be based on the results combined, from what I understand, of races 1 and 2. So we've switched it up a little bit here for the community trophy. Yeah, I think Harhoff now has got to be worried a little bit.
To a degree, I think Harhoff could try a Prost maneuver and say, do you know what, second place is all I need. But as soon as you try and say to a driver, you don't need that first place, it's like they conveniently don't hear you or completely forgotten what you've said the moment you've said it. Harhoff was going to go for the move down in towards the first few turns. He will want to go for it. He won't want to lose any more points than he has to. But I think at the same time, there's no shame in Leonardo Passioni, putting up a fight there, and Harhoff saying, do you know what, have that position for now. I'll come back for you later.
The biggest crux that we also need to discuss here, Igor Wojciechowski is not here. So this could be Igor's drop round. Now, there is an opportunity for drivers to have a drop round before the expo, whereas it's going to be warts and all. There's going to be nowhere to hide. And as I said earlier, you folks will decide which track we go to on Assetto Corsa. But yeah, it's going to be a reverse grid always spices things up. You and I both know that from experience. Who would you put your money on tonight to be the outright winner for round 3? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here because you're the newbie, but you're not a newbie when it comes to sim racing. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be between Passioni and Harhoff. I think maybe Windhausen, if he has gotten over the outbreaking himself situation that he had at Nürburgring sprint last time out, whilst battling away with Timmerkat and Wojcicki for P2 early doors, I think Windhausen could also be a bit of a threat, even though, yes, he's going to be right on their case on the inside of row 2.
Yeah, I think Oscar Soprich is also one to watch out for. Having a look back at the Nürburgring sprint last time out, he was well and truly in the wars in that race. There's no better way to sort of put those kind of races behind you than lighting the fire underneath you and just absolutely going for it. Yes, not the strongest qualifying from him, but remember, we do have the reverse grid race, so he's more than capable of holding his own out there. So I think he's going to be one to watch for tonight, just as an outsider.
So, folks watching on YouTube and on Twitch, who are you rooting for tonight? Let us know. We'll give you a shout out during the broadcast. But we are ready for our opening race out of 2 here at the Lausitzring, the DTM variation here at this circuit that has been around since 2003 and also is owned by DECA, a previous sponsor of 7-time Formula 1 world champion Michael Schumacher. So it's going to be Passione from Harhoff on the front row, Windhausen and Lautsitzring, row 2. Maynardo and Soprich, row 3. Visa and Gajor on row 4. Maximilian Dam and Alexandre Forel will round out row number 5 with Carl Palatini and Gilles Samoy rounding out the 12-strong grid. Top 10 will be inverted for race 2. So whoever finishes 10th is going to be on pole for that second 20-minute race. We are eagerly awaiting what will happen here at the Lausitzring for race 1 of round 3. Of course, the calendar will be Sachsenring on the 15th of September, and then we'll head to a community decided track for the 18th of October. Don't forget to follow us on the relevant social medias on Facebook, X, Instagram, or even on LinkedIn as well. So if you have a connection to that platform, give it a follow, and why not like, share, and subscribe, or even follow us on Twitch, follow us on our YouTube channel as well. As this is like cutting through cold butter with a hot knife at the moment here, Kieran. I can feel the adrenaline and the soaring and the goosebumps starting to rise on my forearms at the moment.
Yeah, you get those in, and we're moments away from the race start, so I'll hand it straight back to you, Alex, for this one.
Thank you very much. So here we go. We wait with bated breath as race 1 for round 3 of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. They're being held quite a bit of time, but the lights go green, clouds of wheel spin, and Passione gets the launch he needs. Harhoff straight away alongside him and looking towards the outside into the first left-hander here through the sweeper, part of the IndyCar variation, as it's nearly 3 wide, rounding out the top 5 positions as over the slight crest they go down the back stretch. And at the moment, Passione has got the inside line for the opening corner, but Harhoff swinging it towards the outside. Lautsitzring is there or thereabouts. So is Soprich as we go into the infield for the opening time. Samoy looks to have dropped down to the back end of the field, but Leonardo Passione doing a great job of holding off Leon Harhoff down that long back stretch out of turn 1 and into the heavy braking zone for turn 2 there, Kieran. It was a very, very close encounter.
Absolutely, but Passione held his own out there. It's not easy to keep Leon Harhoff behind, but he managed to find a way to do it. And all of our 12 drivers keeping very much line of stern at the moment. Everyone making their way through, but we've got I think we're 3 wide in a battle for what would be 9th place back there as Gashor tries to find a way through. That's Alexandre Forel, who's lost out there to Gashor. Casper Gashor then moving himself now up into 8th place. He's got Windhausen right up ahead of him now. Right up ahead of him. And Alexandre Forel loses out just slightly there on this opening lap, but it's very hectic here. As Samui also looking to see if he can try and recover a couple of positions as well.
Yep, it's going to be a tall order with a lot of slipstreaming happening at over 150 miles an hour. Alexandre Forel in the number 30, trying to close in on Gajor just in front. Palatini just behind Samoy, rounding out the top 11. Maximilian Dam has found himself all the way down into 12th place as ahead of Forel. It's not getting any easier. However, Lautsitzring looking around the outside on Oscar Soprich. We've had a turnaround, and that's the number 30 of Alexandra Farrell at turn number 2. Soprich and Lautsitzring are swapping paint. The handbags are out.
Well and truly, but Soprich then doesn't want to lose out on third place. Then later on the brakes then, Dan Lorenzo Lutricusi, he manages to hold on to that third place. Whilst those two are squabbling away for third place, that has allowed Passione and Harhoff to ride away into the distance at this moment in time, but they're battling behind them as well as Visa looks to move down the inside of Lutricusi then for a fourth place, my apologies. So Lutricusi, in a matter of corners, has gone from third to fifth at the moment, and still might find a little bit of work to do against Don Maynardo.
Yeah, so Alexandra Forel trying to close in on Maximilian Dam for 11th spot. So this is going to be a pretty tricky one to try and circumnavigate. Meantime, Visa on Soprich. This is the battle for P3 as new fastest lap by Leon Harhoff up the inside. Julius Visa gets through. So the number 21 makes it through to third position, but Soprich back at him straight away on the run down to turn 2. Soprich has got the legs on him, onto the braking zone, turns it left, swings it to the right, and he's through back for third.
Yeah, nice battling between Soprich and Visa then as they make their way through now in towards this infield section. But again, as they're battling away, Passione and Harhoff, it seems like they're working together, forming that unlikely alliance that you sometimes see, just to sort of say, let's get away, let's break away from the rest of the pack. We can squabble for position later. That suits Passione. He's able to work alongside Harhoff. I don't think he might not know that they're working together at the moment, but Leon Harhoff biding his time, realising that he's gaining time on everybody else by just not forcing the battle, not forcing the move against Passione at this stage.
Yeah, that's the problem. Whenever we see battles emerging in sim racing, when you get a gaggle of about 3 or 4 cars line astern, then what you're going to find is that the 2 or 3 people that might be up front are going to pull away. And the gap now between Harhoff and Soprich is 2.4 seconds. Make that 2.5 seconds and climbing as we're about to complete lap number 3. There's Don Menardo in the number 17. He's being closed in on by Mats Windhausen. Windhausen right on the rear wing, swings to the outside. And hopefully he can make it stick. He's going to keep it pinned round there. Is Mats Windhausen. And he nearly got through. He nearly got through, but Menardo keeping him at bay. Brilliant stuff.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And they're still side by side as well as Don Maynardo tries to move up the inside, but the door was closing then. And he has to just settle down now and try and fight another day. But Don Maynardo has really done a good job in this opening stage, up to 7th place. But Visa, though, might be a little bit of an issue because he's dropped now down to 7th place and continuing to fall. So I didn't quite see Visa, so there might be disconnection there, unfortunately, on Visa.
Okay, yeah, he did have a bit of a drama being turned around in the opening lap at the Nürburgring sprint last time out, but there is the number 6 of Leon Harhoff trying to close in on Leonardo Passione. The gap between them is around about 0.6 of a second as we're on lap number 4. Of course, the LMP3 cars you'll normally see as part of the ADAC Prototype Cup Germany, which is doing the rounds supporting the DTM in its 40th anniversary year, having first been inaugurated back in 1984. But Passione, new fastest lap, 1:26.969. Get this, faster than his best lap in pole position battle in qualifying by the race leader, and now he expands that lead over Leon Harhoff to the best part of nearly 0.8 of a second as they completely plant the throttle to the floor of their sim rigs, heading into turn 2 and into 3. But at the moment, well, Leonardo Passione doing a great job, just as you rightly said, both him and Leon Harhoff are indirectly working together, and that's opened up a gap between Harhoff and Soprich to 3.8 seconds.
Yeah, and Oscar Soprich as well has managed to open up a gap himself to Lorenzo Lutricusi. So Soprich now in a comfortable 3rd place, as there is Julius Weiser. So he is still in the running. He's all the way down into 10th place, though. So having battled away for the 3rd place at one point, now finds himself just about in this top 10. He's got Samui right up ahead of him now. And he'll look to try and see if he can find a way past Giles Samui in the as we approach the halfway mark in time remaining. And it's going to be a tall order, though, because although we've mentioned about how overtaking is prime around a circuit like this, it's still going to be a mountain to climb for Visa.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that one, Kieran. It's just about how you strategize, and it's also a difficult circuit to come back from. I mean, Julius Visa, again, for the second race night in a row, has been compromised in some way, shape or form. So whether he's dropped it off the circuit is the big question. But, you know, he'll have race 2 to come back in at, because he'll be on that pole position. Mats Windhausen at the moment, however, is battling away with Lorenzo Lutricucci. This is the battle for P4 heading into turn number 2, now into 3. And Windhausen holds his ground, but Lutricucci up the inside as the number 33 is really bouncing up and down. Maynardo's not too far behind them in the number 17 car. So this is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. This could really be an interesting battle. Not too far behind them is Gajor in 7th position. So that could be a real opportunity there for Kasper Gajor, Polish driver, I would imagine, judging by the first and last name. But Lutricucci dive bombs up the inside. That was very, very close, but both he and Windhausen give each other racing room. Into the next right. Oh, bit of a hip check between the pair. And Windhausen, oh, he locks up the brakes ever so slightly. Nearly goes sideways. Lutricucci, Maynardo, Gajor, Palatini's not too far behind this now. This quartet starts squabbling, and that 1.5 second gap between Gajor and Palatini is going to drop rapidly. It's already down to like 1.3.
And look at this, Windhausen feeling the need to sort of break the toe, or at least attempt to try and break the toe against Lutricucci. He's under pressure here, is Windhausen from Lorenzo Lutricucci. Then out of turn 1 we go. Lutricucci dives up the inside then, and look at that overspeed he's got then. He'll try and grab the inside line along with it then. Mats Windhausen right up against the wall. Meanwhile, further behind them, Gajor also gets a move on Don Maynardo. So Gajor's now up into 6th place. Lutricucci managing to hold off for 4th place, but look at that. Still battling for 6th place.
That was Soprich. Soprich from 3rd place has dropped to the bottom end of the field as we hit half-time. Disaster for Oscar Soprich.
Yeah, running in 3rd place as well. Yeah, I can only imagine, as you said, he must have dropped it because he was pretty much in a race of his own and happily going along in 3rd place. But what was a battle for 4th place? Look at this. There's 6 cars all in a train for 3rd place, a last spot on a podium for race number 1.
Incredible. So we've got Lutricucci, Windhausen, Gajor, Maynardo, Palatini, Visa. Oh, that might have been Gajor just going off the circuit. Yes, it was. Oh dear, a real shame there. Kasper Gajor, who manages to gather it back up and ends up in front of Carl Palatini. So quite a few drivers trying to make their way up and down the order, but however, a mistake like that, these are very demanding cars around a very demanding circuit, as Palatini looking to go high, wide and handsome round the outside of Gajor, going on the run down to turn 2. He's pulling alongside thanks to the overspeed. Palatini, is he going to be later on the brakes, or will Gajor line it up through the inside as Visa tries to get through in his own right, and I think just tagged the back of Palatini heading into turn number 2. Julius Visa was so lucky he did not thread the eye of the needle on that one, because that would have been a clean-up on aisle 3.
Absolutely. Well, I did think Palatini was a little bit, that the car looked upset going in towards turn 2 there, and as you say, Visa might have just tapped the backside of Palatini there. That might have upset the car. Gajor won't mind though, because now he's got 6th place, 0.8 of a second between himself and Palatini. Don Maynardo as well, looking to see if he can try and get a fight on here for 4th place against Windhausen. Lutricucci, meanwhile, still in 3rd place, extended the gap to 1.2 seconds, although at this moment in time, anything is up for grabs. Any one of these positions is up for grabs. We haven't seen a lot of the leaders, but there's a reason why, because they're doing what they're doing, leading the way pretty undramatically at the moment.
And with the best part of a 9.5 second gap, make that 9.8 seconds over Lorenzo Lutricucci, who's looking very, very good to have his best finish so far in the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. There is Don Maynardo rounding out the top 5, and he's 5.5 tenths behind Mats Windhausen. They've been battling away 2 and 8 all the way through this race. You can see how close the drivers are getting to the wall. They're just waiting for the last opportunity to dive through into turn number 2. They're going to be very careful of the barrier on the outside, as that is Kasper Gazior, who has spun it coming out of turn 2, running in 6, and the Polish driver unfortunately drops down the order.
Yeah, Kasper Gazior then looking to try and carry just a little bit too much speed into turn 2, and the rear end said you're having a laugh and absolutely let go. Meanwhile, Julius Visa then down the inside of Palatini to try and make a move then around this flowing right-hander. Well played, Julius Visa then to move himself up into 6th place. And now Palatini has Giles Samui right behind as well for close company. Samui looking now for a move up the inside. I think the door is left open by Palatini, and I think Samui does go through. Palatini, I think, might have run wide onto the grass, but Samui's now up into 7th place.
That's a great job there for Samui, who started stone dead last. Let's not forget he was 1.23 seconds off of Leonardo Passioni's pole position lap time, as we are 6.5 minutes to go, and on to lap 10. There's Leon Harhoff now, just over 1 second behind Leonardo Passioni, and Lucio QC just keeping his nose clean, you know, just crossing the T's, dotting the I's, getting as many points, you know, getting a good result will pay you dividends, as there we see Leon Harhoff bouncing his way through turns 3 and 4, and still trying to close in on Leonardo Passioni. But Passioni's had great composure all the way through this race, put it on pole position. There's Oscar Soprich getting through on Kasper Gazior through at turn number 2, and then Gazior look for the move around the outside through into 3. And Oscar Soprich said, "Thou shalt not pass" on that particular occasion. So battle for 10th really heating up between Soprich, Gazior and Dam. Meantime, still very close between Ludwig QC, Windhausen and Maynardo in the battle for P3.
Yeah, there is your race leader then, Leonardo Passioni. 1.3 seconds ahead of Leon Harhoff then. So Passioni has really unlocked something extra here around the Lausitzring. And he's looking really good at the moment. I mean, he qualified on pole position by a matter of 0.04 of a second, but right now is looking very comfortable, nearly half a second quicker than Harhoff on that last lap alone. So a fantastic job from him so far, as Don Maynardo closing in now on Mats Windhausen for 4th place, and a lovely bit of tow you get on the banking then. But Windhausen also trying to close in on Luca Cusi in these closing stages now, just under 5 minutes left of race 1 to run. Windhausen under pressure now from Don Maynardo. Will we see a move in towards turn 2? Maynardo is closing and closing. Does he look for a move up the inside this time? No, doesn't. Bit of a lock-up though. That'll send him a little bit deeper than he'd like. Just compromises his run there through turn 2.
But still to keep within half a second of Mats Windhausen in the battle for P4 at the moment is still a very, very Herculean effort. So Don Maynardo didn't, as far as I remember, did not take part in round 2 of the Nürburgring sprint, but this is really allowing everyone to stretch the legs on these wonderful looking Duquesne LMP3 cars, as Maynardo now within 4.5 tenths of a second. And there we see the onboard of Maynardo on the left, and then we see trackside on your right. Big thank you to Ryan Gill back in the saddle once again for broadcasting duties. So a big thank you to him, as we see just how much input there is from the drivers heading into particular parts of the circuit. And then now this is where we're going to see them open up the taps on these naturally aspirated V8 Leviathans. And he's already up to 4th gear, 120, 130 miles an hour, up to 5th across the stripe, and is still trying to close that gap on Windhausen. But time is fast running out for everybody, as well at the moment. Leonardo Passioni still doing. One of the things I've noticed about Maynardo at the moment here, Kieran, is that he goes very, very low to the apex, you know, right down to the bottom of the banking into turn number 1, and he's able to carry a little bit more corner speed by doing so.
Yeah, but especially through turn two and actually out of the final corner, you see he's almost wrestling with the steering wheel in front of him. He's doing a bit of work in a couple of corners to keep this thing in a straight line. He's very aggressive in his inputs right now. The car's just about hanging on, and we had was it Emerson Fittipaldi said, if you're not slightly out of control, you're not going fast enough, and that seems to be the way. Don Maynardo just on the limit of adhesion, but just so that he's able to keep up with Mats Windhausen for a place in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, so 2 minutes and 35 seconds on the timer remains. And once we hit 0, the lap that will be on will be the last lap of the race. And then we'll head it over to our top 10 reverse grid pole position at the moment. It's Maximilian Damm that could be the driver that will end up on the on pole position for race number 2. Mats Windhausen about 0.7 of a second behind Lorenzo Lutriciusi in the battle for P3. So probably will have this and another lap to go. We're on to lap number 13 here at the Lausitzring DTM variation, using the first part of the oval here at this fantastic circuit. As Windhausen closing that gap, he's starting to get the benefit of the toe, but the overspeed's not quite coming yet. It has to be about, I would say, probably about 0.4 behind before you really get the overspeed for these Duqueine LMP3 cars. But he is closing that gap still bit by bit on Lutriciusi, even though the timing tower might say otherwise. But a minute and a half to go. Passioni has nearly got this wrapped up completely.
And we'll see when he crosses the start-finish line to what will begin the final lap of the race. I mean, it's been a very, very professional job so far for Leonardo Passioni. It's not over for this battle for third place. 3 drivers really in with a chance of getting that spot on the final piece on the podium, and looking to try and score some strong points in race number 1. Lutriciusi has Windhausen right behind him, heading into the final few corners then. And this looks like it's going to be one last chance here. Don Maynardo also joining on to the back of this train as well. So 3 cars have a chance for P3 as they all head on to their final lap.
Yeah, covered by about 1.4 seconds at the moment between the 3 of them. So Passioni 2 seconds ahead of Harhoff. Maynardo sets a personal best in that lap. And they head through. They are all starting to do it now. Go down towards the apex through at this very fast turn 1 left-hand sweeper. And then it's the back straightaway heading into T2. 20 seconds on the timer. Harhoff starting to close that gap a little bit to Passioni on the 14th lap, but it's going to be too little too late. If he was 0.3 behind, then you could probably see a photo finish, as we still concentrate our efforts on Lutriciusi, Windhausen and Maynardo. That's 3rd, 4th and 5th. Julius Visa now back up into 6th position, but there is your race leader. Final lap has been confirmed. Leonardo Passioni dominated for the majority of qualifying, despite the best efforts of one Leon Harhoff. And what's more, we're going to have a new race winner here in the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy for 2024. As out of the final corner, putting the pedal to the metal, Leonardo Passioni breaks the win streak of Leon Harhoff finally here at the Lausitzring in race 1. Harhoff taking 2nd. Lutriciusi is now going to start making his way through and will come across the line to finish in 3rd, is he? Or is Windhausen going to have anything to say about it? No, Lutriciusi's going to hang on for 3rd. Great work there by Lutriciusi. Windhausen takes 4th. Maynardo takes 5th. And there you see the sporting gesture between our top 2, Leonardo Passioni and Leon Harhoff. The battle's going to wage on in race 2 coming up very shortly, I'm sure, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. In that race, Passioni's going to have to try and pass Leon Harhoff and 8 others to try and retain that lead. But yeah, it's great to see there Leon Harhoff offering his congratulations there, because 1.8 seconds it was across the line. 0.04 of a second separated them in qualifying. So yeah, fantastic pace there from Passioni. The question is though, can he take that pace into race number 2? He'll be starting from 10th place, so he'll have to use his racecraft there. We've seen his pace around this circuit. How's his racecraft going to shape up?
Yeah, that's 2 different. It's a very well presented argument there, Kieran, because it's 2 different sides of the coin. because Passioni just literally, the minute he was out front, Harhoff gave him a bit of a fright going into turns 1 and 2, which was warranted, and we were pretty much guaranteed of that happening. However, it was just that over the longer, the race pace, Passioni just seemed to have a better measure, better composure with the Duquesne LMP3 car. So your provisional results for race 1 are as follows. Leonardo Passioni takes the win ahead of Leon Harhoff. Lorenzo Litticiusi, Mats Windhausen, and Don Maynardo round out the top 5. Good comeback from Julius Visa, who dropped to 10th in the first half of the race to finish 6th ahead of Gilles Samoi, who started stone dead last. Carl Palatini, Oscar Soprich, and Alexandre Forel round out the top 10. Maximilian Dam, well, he was one position away from that top 10, and he's going to start on the penultimate spot on the grid, along with Kasper Gagior, who also struck drama. So Alex Forel is going to be our race 2 pole sitter for the inverted top 10. Racecraft is a very, very different kettle of fish when it comes to race pace. And you mentioned that very, very you timed that well on when you mentioned it, Kieran, because it was a case of, yeah, you can lead from the front, but what is your pace going to be like when you're having to get past back marker traffic? I think the tactic that Passioni is going to have to start from the outside of row 5 is to see how many people I can overtake before turn 2, and then work it out from there.
I mean, let's face it, it's been a strong sort of heat points wise for our race winner there. Leonardo Passioni knows he's got a job on his hands now to try and pass 9 other cars. I mean, that's very much easier said than done. And sort of the drivers he has to pass. Oscar Soprich, I think, will be starting P2 on the reverse grid. We know he's a quick driver as well, and was felled by what we think was just a loss of control, unfortunately. Battled his way back through, but stayed in 9th place there. So Soprich is not going to, take that lying down, and you would think he's going to use that momentum that he had towards the end of the race, at the very least, to help him in that reversed grid front row start. Right ahead of him is Alexandre Forel. So we'll see from Oscar Soprich's side, can he use that sort of detriment in race number 1 tonight, help him boost morale and whatnot going into race 2? Can he fight for the win? Can he pull away from everybody else?
Yeah, that's the big thing, because Passioni showed that in race 1, 100%. Folks, we are still waiting for you to get your shout outs on Twitch and on YouTube. So please don't forget, get involved, share the streams. Also give us a follow on social media whilst you're at it, because we've still got some more racing still to come. Of course, the Sachsenring will be on the 15th of September. So 2 weeks from tonight, it'll be the penultimate round of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Of course, round 3 of the ADAC Digital GT500 takes place a week from tonight. And then we'll have the final online event, as in, well, myself and Kieran being wherever we are in the world, whether I might be traveling. But thank goodness for round 3 this week for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. I'm at home. However, my travels take me all over the place. You well know that, and a lot of people also well know that as well, Kieran. But the thing is, we're here to bring the action to you. And of course, our 2024 Asetek Simsport Community Trophy and Digital GT500 champions will be decided live and direct from the Dortmund Messe. Of course, there's going to be 10,000 square meters, over 60 exhibitors. So much of the latest and greatest new stuff coming onto the sim racing market, and I'll be completely honest, due to a recent trip to Gamescom, I saw some things that aren't yet available to market, but will they be revealed at the expo? You'll have to come and join us and find out. We're also going to be live streaming all our panels for all 3 days. We've got some fantastic guests on the card for this year, some returnees, some new faces, and also, more to the point, subjects that you in the community want to hear about when it comes to not just sim racing, but also esports in general. And, Kieran, it's going to be your first experience of the expo. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, massively. If there's two things, I've never been to Germany, and I've always wanted to do the SimRacing Expo. That was always on the bucket list, and I'm delighted to be able to go now. It's absolutely brilliant. So absolutely buzzing. Can't wait to get absolutely stuck in 3 days of what will be fantastic machinery, fantastic people around. Yeah, thoroughly looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're just waiting to have the next race ready for you all at home, folks. But don't forget, you can head to our official website, simracingexpo.de. That's the official website for the Sim Racing Expo. Also, if you want to have a look at what exhibitors are on there, there's a whole list, a whole smorgasbord, which is a word I like to use when you're talking about multiple different exhibitors, or because it will not just be hardware, but software will be on display. There's a lot of new technologies that are coming into sim racing, because having done the Sim Racing Expo first time in 2022 in Nürburgring, I got my eyes completely opened wide as to what the Sim Racing Expo is all about, and also the bigger sense of community. And by having this kind of competition here, Kieran, it really gives the opportunity for talents within the community that haven't been given a relevant spotlight to have their opportunity to compete at such a prestigious level, but also a prestigious competition.
Absolutely, and we have great fun covering it as well. Everybody wins in that case, don't they? We get some great racing talent on show, and also we get very much entertained with popcorn and all to really sink our fingernails into all the great racing action. But we're getting prepped for race number 2. Remember, the top 10 get reversed here, so that's going to put Alexandre Farrell on that reverse grid pole position, and we'll see, Alex, can Passione keep the pace up? Can he manage to dispatch some of this traffic,
including chief rival and points leader Leon Harhoff? So the grid is assembled here at the Lausitzring. We'll be heading to Sachsenring next time out in 2 weeks for the penultimate round of the 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, which you'll be able to watch live and direct here on our Twitch and YouTube channels, 100% uninterrupted and free to view wherever you are in the world. So thank you all for joining us here this evening, or it could be very early doors in the morning if you're over in Asia or Australasia. Maybe it's early afternoon if you're over in the United States. But the drivers are set and ready. We're just waiting for the 6 red lights to ignite on the gantry here at the Lausitzring for race 2 of round 3 of what has become a very, very closely fought competition, especially as the opening race did showcase to us just a few moments ago.
Yeah, Mats Finshausen as well. Wasowski and Sedgley both not here tonight. He needs to get some strong points on the board. He had a strong opening, but he needs to back it up now with a race 2. We'll see what he can do from 6th place on the grid.
So the 6 red lights here at the Lausitzring are about to ignite, and when they go out, we'll be underway and racing for one more time this evening. 5, 6. Is it as long as a hold as it was last time? Yes, it is. Green lights, plumes of wheel spin, and Oscar Soprich tries to get the launch on Alex Farrell, who takes the lead early doors, heading into the opening left-hander, this fast left-hander, as Palatini, Samoy, and Visa running at the top 5. Look at the squabble for 3rd place. There's a quintet of them. They're nearly going 5 wide. They are 5 wide. Heading into T2 as Soprich gets the job done on Farrell heading into turn 2.
There was contact in the background there. Didn't quite see who it was, but yes, 5 wide at some point. Some of them doing a bit of rallycross. I think there might have been Lutracusi, Samui, Harhoff, I think, all involved in an instant further back. And yes, there they all are. Giles Samui, Leon Harhoff. That's big. Leon Harhoff being caught up in that turn 2, turn 3 incident. He's got a lot on his plate now. He's got a lot of time to make up over the next 19 minutes.
Yeah, but more to the point, Leonardo Passione is already up to P6 and is closing in on Maximilian Damm in the 5th place car. There is Alex Farrell in 2nd. Oscar Soprich leads the way. Dan Maynardo, 5th in the previous race, currently running P3. Visa was 6th in race 1, now currently running 4th, ahead of Maximilian Damm, who finished 11th in race 1. But Passione has got past Maximilian Damm and he's making quick work of those in front. There's Leonardo Passione looking round the outside of Maximilian Damm, I would imagine. He's right in the wheel tracks. He's got Mats Windhausen right behind as they go toe-to-toe, heading into T1 here on lap 2.
Oh, it's so close to each other through turn 1 then, but look around the outside. I thought Windhausen was going to have a look around the outside there of T1, but look at this, the trio are all weaving their way through, trying to find their way through here, 3 wide as they'll head towards the braking zone. Passione right on the inside, Windhausen through the middle, eye of the needle stuff there from Windhausen, managing to park it on the apex there, and Maximilian Damm has down 2 positions in the blink of an eye there. He did everything he could to try and keep 2 cars behind, but Passione up into 5th place. What a fantastic start. I have to say as well, Alexandre Farrell had a brilliant launch off the line to keep himself ahead of Oscar Soprich, but Soprich managed to find his way through later on the opening lap. So these two, the 2 up the top, are going to be scrapping away for a battle for the lead of this race. Passione, though, he's definitely got his head down, focused, and looking to try and get his way to the front as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think ahead of him there was a little bit of a lock-up either from Visa or Maynardo in 3rd and 4th. So Passione is closing that gap rapidly. Farrell is closing in on Soprich. The gap is now down to half a second as we conclude lap number 2. 17 minutes on the timer out of 20 still remaining on the timer. Hard work for these drivers, but more to the point, the top 6 have already put in personal best laps. I think that pretty much every way, all the way down to the top 10, including Leon Harhoff, who is trying to close that gap to Carl Palatini and has got it down to a second despite that opening lap turn 2 incident.
Yeah, absolutely. Farrell looking to try and close in, or at least keep close to Oscar Soprich as much as possible. Julius Visa, currently 3rd place, but you say it's a quartet battle for 3rd place, not dissimilar to what we saw in race 1. But we did see, 5 or 6 cars battling away for 3rd place. But we saw spin-outs, we saw lock-ups, we saw moments from all involved. If you were in that battle for 3rd place in the last race, you didn't go without a little bit of a scary moment, a bit of drama in your race. But Visa currently holding on to that 3rd place right now.
So Soprich continues to lead here on lap number 3 ahead of Alex Farrell, with Julius Visa, Dan Maynardo, Leonardo Passione rounding out the top 5. Lock-up and brakes there again on the latter part of the infield section by Oscar Soprich. Alex Farrell keeping tight to the apex on the exit out of the corner. There's Leonardo Passione, who's got Dan Maynardo right in front of him, along with Julius Visa. Now, this is where the overspeed comes into play. The 3 battling over 3rd position, now covered by less than 7/10 of a second. As what is Maynardo going to do on Visa? Looks a little bit higher and wider through the banking, drops to the inside, looks to get the overspeed. He's got the inside line. That's a great move by Don Maynardo, heading past Julius Visa using the overspeed. And is he going to be braver on the brakes into turn 2? Visa keeps it towards the outside, into the inside line for 3. Oh, a little bit of a slight touch between the pair. Maynardo holds on to 3rd, and Visa ends up impeding slightly Leonardo Passione, who's got the bit firmly between his teeth.
Yeah, Don Maynardo slammed that door shut and firmly locked it as well on Visa then, as Passione had to do some evasive action there, just a slight bit. But he's looking now to try and take advantage of maybe a Visa who might have just been slightly out of sorts. Leon Harhoff, meanwhile, up into 8th place now, managed to find a way past Maximilian Damm then for 8th place. But Don Maynardo knows now he's got to try and break away as best as he possibly can. He's done the hard part of passing Julius Visa. Now he's got to try and build the gap. But there is a battle for our lead then. Oscar Soprich leading Alexandre Farrell.
Yeah, and the battle between them is about half a second apart at the moment. Between them and Don Maynardo, the gap is now 2 seconds approximately. So the minute that Passione gets through on Visa, which is going to try and do now as we go on to the next lap of the race, Passione has got the overspeed onto lap 5. Through in towards turn 1, he's going to look to the outside. Is he going to try and do the crossover that we saw from Maynardo last time? No, he's going to use the outside line and keep it close to the wall. This could be very, very closely contested heading into T2. Visa with the inside line. Oh, and round the outside. What a move from Leonardo Passioni on lap 5, turn 2. High, wide. It was wonderful to watch, and he makes it up to P3.
That was absolutely brilliant. 2 moves in one fell swoop, and that all stemmed from Passioni choosing and electing to choose the outside line and use the toe that Don Maynardo was creating. That lovely bit of pocket of air that he was able to use, increase his speed, increase that overspeed, and make that overtake possible. That was brilliant there from Passioni. Brilliant stuff.
But also they've got Mats Windhausen closing on in. Meantime, Alex Farrell trying to keep within striking distance of Oscar Soprich, but they've now got to have their eyeballs in the back of their heads right now. Bit of a stumble there from Soprich. Farrell's got that gap down to about a car length as they now come into the main stadium and start-finish straight section. 2/10 is the gap. Farrell looking for the race lead here on lap number 6. He's going to pull it to the inside here into T1, wheel to wheel, side by side. Farrell gets through and retakes the race lead here on lap 6.
It's not done yet though. Oscar Soprich uses that slipstream and once again tries to go down the inside in towards turn 2. Then he'll have that inside line. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? It is going to be Oscar Soprich. So Farrell had that move initially, but did he make it slightly too early? That's what Oscar Soprich thought, because he's now moved himself back into the lead of this race.
Yeah, Farrell's got to be very careful on the infield section, and in the meantime Visa has got through on Maynardo. So Passioni has got the gap down to a 2.5 between himself and Farrell in the battle for P2. There's still plenty of time in this race, and we did talk about this in the break between both races. Oh, Mats Windhausen has just lost positions, and Leon Harhoff now finds himself up to 6th position, having started 9th on the grid and then dropping down to the back end of the order after that 5 wide exchange into turn 2. I thought it was going to be 4 wide. They went 5 wide and then some, and it just got a bit crazy on that opening lap, and that's the one thing you wanted to do. And Passioni has timed his strategy to absolute perfection, and it was a case of get through turn 2, get through the opening lap, and then work your strategy from then. And now he's on full push, and he is literally ripping chunks of time out of Alex Farrell, who still is closing in on Oscar Soprich. Maybe the boot could be returned on the other foot, so to speak, as our 2 leaders head into turn 2 here on lap 7.
Yep, Soprich just about able to keep ahead of Farrell, but 2 different lines being taken there as Farrell elects to try and take a later apex into T2. That gives him a better line through the 3rd turn, but Oscar Soprich able to hold back there. Oh, a snap of oversteer of Farrell, and he had to gather that one back up. And if there's one person you don't want to dangle a carrot in front of it at this stage, it's Leonardo Passioni, who is closing in at a rate of knots, now within a second of Alex Farrell. That is well within that slipstream territory that we will see on the banking. And this battle for first place has just had a new protagonist added to the order. It's Passioni, who's looking to make it 2 wins out of 2 tonight.
And that'll give him a maximum score in terms of the points as we ride on board with Leonardo Passioni on the left-hand side of your screen. And he's got right in front of him, that gap is less than a second between himself, Farrell and Soprich. Now we come round to complete another lap. We are past the halfway point of this second race for round number 3 of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Still time on the board and still an opportunity, as Kieran rightly said, for Leonardo Passioni to take a maximum points haul in this 3rd round and also bump himself up the order significantly, maybe putting him into the battle for the top 3 overall, heading into the penultimate round in 2 weeks' time at Sachsenring.
Just shows you as well, one strong round, and it really pulls it all together in one neat little bow. But Passioni then knows he's got to make use and make good of this form. He's absolutely high flying right now, and is now right onto the back then of 2nd place. We make our way to the next braking zone, but this is great to see. 3 cars in this lead battle, and can Passioni find the way past? From his point of view then, but he's going to have a hard time passing Farrell because Farrell actually has the slipstream from Oscar Soprich down the banking. So this is going to be a tricky one for Passione, but he's pulled off a move around the outside of 2 cars at turn 2. So I think we're not going to rule anything out at any point for Passione. He's in just a rich vein of form.
Yeah, he's Mr. Unpredictability. That's what I'm going to nickname him after that Herculean move he did earlier on in the race. So he's right on the back wing and rear diffuser of Alex Farrell as we complete lap number 8 with just over 8 minutes to go on the timer. And Farrell is coming under pressure from Passione into turn 1. Passione lines it up neatly through on the inside, gives Farrell enough racing room to stay on the banking. And through goes Passione for second place, but Farrell is back in the slipstream. And Passione starts to defend, heading into T2. But if Farrell has the overspeed, can he launch it around the outside? He decides, well, you know what? I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate on that one and not count my chickens before they hatch, and give myself an opportunity to fight for, if not just the race victory, but also for second here in what has been a very, very crazy and frantic race 2 for round 3.
Hasn't it just? Passione then moving up to second place. Now it's 1 position away with 7 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock to try and find a way past Oscar Soprich. And we've seen Soprich has had the pace today. We've seen that all through this race number 2, but race number 1 sort of sealed that fate of he would have to start from further down, or not start from further down, but start from further up. But there's Passione, thought he saw an open door, then had to slightly back out of it there, but he's all over that rear diffuser now of Oscar Soprich is Leonardo Passione, and we see now through in towards that final corner and taking us across the start-finish line. Passione moves to the left-hand side of the track in this move for the lead. Well, he'll have the inside line heading our way through in towards turn 1, and for now he takes the lead off of Oscar Soprich.
But Soprich is going to be right back in his wheel tracks as they come out of turn 1. Oh, and look at the overspeed from Soprich. He nearly got the launch around the outside, heading into T2. Passione, however, has hit the front with nearly 14 minutes of this 20-minute race completed, having started from 10th place after winning race 1. Passione hits the front. Can Soprich, Farrell, maybe... could they have something to say about it? Well, judging by Passione's run of form tonight, that looks to be a question that is going to be answered very shortly.
Absolutely, he's in fine form as well, Passione. So now becomes the case of he has to try and build that gap to Oscar Soprich, but we've seen his qualifying laps. We've seen the laps he was putting in race number 1. If he keeps that up, he will be able to build that gap. The only thing is now, Oscar Soprich right behind him runs a little bit deep then. I think that is the line that Oscar Soprich is taking. Feels he is stronger with that line then. And then we head our way through in towards this winding section before we wind ourselves up to go onto the banking once again. But Oscar Soprich not too far behind. Is he far enough behind to take advantage of the slipstream, the toe that Passione will be kicking up behind him? Don Maynardo, we're watching now in this battle for 6th place as he looks to try and close in on Windhausen.
Yeah, looks like Passione's broken the toe, and quite convincingly. He's got the gap to just under 1.1 seconds as we head into the final quarter of the race. Leon Harhoff, in the meantime, is battling away with Julius Wiese. Out of turn number 1, Harhoff is going to slingshot past him. Hard onto the brakes, they will go very shortly for the run into turn 2. Harhoff gets through. That's 4th position for our points leader, who started 9th alongside Passione. And it could have been a very different story altogether had we not had the moments going into turn 2 on the opening lap. Leon Harhoff, I think, has an opportunity now with 4.5 minutes to go to close on in on Farrell and Soprich. So maybe we could have a repeat 1-2 of race 1 earlier on tonight. But Passione leads by nearly 1.4 seconds ahead of Soprich. Farrell in 3rd, Harhoff, Wiese, Windhausen, Maynardo, Gajot up to 8th, Palatini ahead of Litvicussi, who rounds out the top 10 with Gilles Samoy and Maximilian Dam rounding out the order. But yeah, Maynardo has an opportunity. He finished 5th, and more to the point, also finished ahead of Wiese in the previous race. So this could be a little bit of a motivational assist for Maynardo, as long as he doesn't have any problems. Look, Ciacusi has got Samori all over the back of him. They've got Palatini just in front. And this is the battle for ninth place. So lock up from Palatini. Ciacusi nearly had an opportunity to get through, but the door was quickly slammed back in his general direction by Palatini on that particular exchange.
Just about. Ciacusi, though, on Palatini, as they'll make their way across the start-finish line with just under 3.5 minutes left to run. Ciacusi then electing to stay behind in the tow, maybe try and take a wider line. I think he might have actually backed out of it, because then he'll use the tow and use that better grip. Look at that performance he got there, Ciacusi, to pull himself ahead at the moment, and actually moves over to take the racing line before we get into the braking zone of turn 2. And Palatini then trying to take a slightly different line to try and find an manoeuvre away past, but Alex Farrell is falling down the order right now. He was running in 3rd place, but now has fallen all the way down to 8th place.
Oh, that's a real shame for Alex Farrell, who's running P3. That's put Leon Harhoff 2.8 seconds behind Oscar Soprich. So we are not going to have the top 2 lockout like we had in race number 1 and also in time qualifying. So Passione has nearly a 2-second lead over Oscar Soprich as we're on lap number 12. There's our race leader once again, Leonardo Passione, now making his way onto our penultimate lap. So lap 12 in the books, lap 13 out of 14 underway, and Passione expanding that gap. And he's 7/10 quicker on that previous lap than Soprich, which pulls the gap even further away from the 2nd place driver. 2.5 seconds separate 1st to 2nd, and 2nd to 3rd, with Leon Harhoff rounding out the top 3. What a drive it's been tonight for Leonardo Passione. Pole position in time qualifying, went on and won race 1 by 2 seconds. He's going to make it an even bigger winning margin here in race 2. And this means that Leon Harhoff has got a challenger on his hands coming into the penultimate round at Sachsenring in a couple of weeks on the 15th.
Absolutely. Well, Harhoff at this moment in time, he's ahead of everyone he really needs to be ahead of at the moment. Mats Windhausen, 4th place in the standings, is currently 5th place in this race. So he's done all he needed to do to keep his points tally not only intact, but able to extend the lead over everybody else. So it's not going to be a huge loss for Leon Harhoff, but he'll know that this race here tonight, 4/100ths of a second was the difference on pole position. But my goodness, Leonardo Passione has really just pulled another gear out of this, it just seems. He's been absolutely brilliant all race long, and now as he rounds his way out of the final corner, he'll only have one more tour of the Lausitzring to go to put a cherry on what has been an absolutely brilliantly baked cake.
Yes, indeed. It's the Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte with the cherry on top. And, you know, I hopefully we can, we definitely want to see a replay of that move from Passione. But he's coming down in towards turn number 2 for the final time. Then hang on. Well, Soprich is, hang on.
This is the replay, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the replay. So, into turn number 2, Passione on the inside of Visa, Reynardo's piggy in the middle, and round the outside goes Passione. That was poetry in motion. That's how you take complete advantage. And like you said, the pocket that he'd made for himself on the inside of Visa, and knew that, well, I've got to do one of 2 things here. Either I wait or I go for it. And he would have kicked himself if he hadn't have gone for it. And what's that meant? He's come out on trumps, because now it's the final lap confirmed. Leonardo Passione, well, that's going to give him, if he gets the maximum score of 119 points, he's on 92 at the moment. That is going to propel him pretty much, I think, maybe on, it might put him actually level. I'm just going to do a quick bit of maths as he's coming out of the final corner. That is going to put him level with Igor Wojciechowski going into the penultimate round, but Passione does the clean sweep, the Grand Chelem here at the Lausitzring in dominant fashion. Oscar Soprich, who finished in 9th in race 1, finishes 2nd in race 2. Leon Harhoff will be very, very happy with a strong points haul, and he'll have a big lead. Mats Windhausen, I think, will probably end up taking P3 in the standings. After this, well, he'll be in the top 4, but he'll lead. Soprich will have some steady points. So will Ciacusi with the P3 in race 1. But Leonardo Passione, What can you say about this man? Leon Harhoff, you have got a new challenger.
Absolutely. What a performance from Leonardo Passioni. Just did everything right. Everything he did behind the wheel tonight worked in his favour. It was just absolute brilliance to watch him drive. And to be sent off by Oscar Soprich and Leon Harhoff, two drivers we know who are quick and have a good turn of pace about them. In fact, everyone seeming to congratulate Leonardo Passioni. And why not? What a fantastic drive to propel him very much up the point standings. What a drive from him tonight.
Yeah, so if it all gets confirmed and ratified by our friends over at Gridfinder, we will have Igor Wojciechowski and Leonardo Passioni on exactly the same amount of points, 211. But Leon Harhoff has done the best thing he could do, a little bit of damage limitation. Of course, in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be a new circuit. The drivers will have the opportunity to practice on the circuit with the car, get themselves ready. But Leonardo Passioni has really helped us have a nice little bit of injection of adrenaline going into the penultimate round, wouldn't you say, Kieran, after those two dominant performances and also that move at turn 2?
I did say before race 2, we saw he had the pace. Does he have the racecraft? He's ticked both of those boxes tonight. Brilliant performance. I cannot put a foot wrong for Passioni. Unbelievable overtake round the outside. 2 positions in one fell swoop for the lead of the race. Performances don't come around too often when you're at the top of the game like that. And just everything fell into place for Passioni. Everything he did came off. And when you're in that rich vein of form, you just have to take advantage of it.
So, provisional results for race 2 here for round 3. Leonardo Passioni does the double with Oscar Soprich taking P2, Leon Harhoff taking a well-deserved another top 3 finish, finishing P3, ahead of Julius Visa, who was not outside of the top 6 all night long. 6th in race 1, 4th in race 2. Mats Windhausen also staying in the top 5, 4th in race 1 and 5th in race 2. I'm just trying to sort out a couple of interviews. We are just waiting for a couple of drivers to hopefully join us in the waiting room so we can bring them in. So, yeah, as I was saying, Mats Windhausen rounded at the top 5. Don Maynardo, a strong, solid run for him as well. 6th in race 1. Well, 5th in race 1, 6th in race 2. Kasper Gajor, a very difficult race 1. Also had dramas. Sorry, just trying to multitask here and that never works well. What can I say? What can I say? And we've also had some nice comments in the Discord as well from Gilles Samoy saying, great 2 races, had fun. That's one of the other things about the on there. It's just the case that community is all about fun and enjoying racing against other people. Looking back also at the finishing results, provisional, as I say, because there may be some stewards' inquiries and post amendments. So Don Maynardo 6th, Kasper Gajor 7th, head of Lorenzo Luticusi, who had a solid P3 in race 1. Gilles Samoy, Carl Palatini, Alex Farrell, and Maximilian Dam rounding out the provisional 12 finishers for race 2. We are still waiting for drivers to well, drivers saying, you know what, I think it's getting a little bit difficult to try and get drivers sorted out for interviews, but hopefully we'll get some on the board for round 4 in 2 weeks' time. Of course, 2 weeks from now, we go to the Sachsenring, another fantastic circuit, more commonly associated with MotoGP, Kieran, but it's it's going to be another true test for the drivers.
Absolutely, as was tonight. We're coming across circuits that are just sometimes going to be outside of your comfort zone. But I mean, what this track has just got some long, straight, sweeping corners. Again, a track that's got a little bit of everything, especially Castrol Omega, where that corner just seems to go on for a slight bit longer than forever. Trying to just keep the limit of adhesion there, try and keep the tyre temperatures under control. It's going to be a difficult one for our drivers, but take nothing away. It looks like it's going to be a great circuit, high speed action, so plenty of slipstreaming. So not dissimilar to what we saw tonight, except I would multiply that by 3 or 4, considering how many straights there are.
Well, we have actually got a driver actually waiting in the waiting booth, and funnily enough, it's Leon Harhoff. Let's drag him in. Leon, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, guys.
Well, you've got a new challenger in your midst, haven't you, Mr. Passioni? It was a very, very close call between you guys in qualifying, but still, you have to be happy with, 2 top 3 finishes in both races, especially with the dramas that hit when you were one of the drivers going 5 wide, I think, into turn 2 on race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Leonardo is a fantastic driver, as I just now figured. Very fast, very consistent, even in the race. In the beginning, I thought I could maybe challenge him a little bit, but he was just too consistent, and maybe I could stick in a draft a little bit. But after a while, my tires pretty much gave in because I was pushing so hard just to keep up with him. And then it was pretty much over. And yeah, race 2, I have no idea what happened there. So many cars flying around, and suddenly I was spun around. I guess the stewards will have a good look at that, but nevertheless, it was a very fun race to fight my way back into P3. And of course, congrats to Leonardo and Oscar.
But also, it means that you extend your lead in the championship heading into the penultimate round at Sachsenring in a couple of weeks. Another different track for the drivers to get to grips with. What's your favourite points on the track there at Sachsenring?
I mean, probably the only corner that goes right, because everything else is left, and the front right tire will suffer a lot. So I think tire management will play a huge role there, because with the fixed medium compound that we have on the LMP3 car, the tires always get very hot. So I think that's what we have to keep in mind when during the race, because we have to manage the temperatures.
Kieran, do you have any questions for Leon before we let him go?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Leon, Kieran here. Good to meet you. Obviously, the second race, how much of that race could you put down to that contact at the start? Was there any chance you could have caught Leonardo Passoni in that race?
Yeah, no, Leonardo not. I mean, maybe I could have gotten P2, or maybe I could have challenged Leonardo a little bit, but I was definitely not faster. So yeah, it was pretty much like 7 seconds or so that I lost in the beginning, and there was, yeah, I mean, 2 seconds I think I was behind P2, but Leonardo was just gone. So P2 I think would have been the maximum. It's a shame that it was P3 in the end because of the spin, but nevertheless, as I said, a very fun race, and yeah, that's how racing should be.
Brilliant. Leon, obviously we know you're doing double duty. We'll see you next week for the midway point of the GT 500, of course. Another championship that not just yourself but other drivers have decided to do double duty. What's the beauty of doing 2 different championships and getting 2 different challenges?
I mean, it's not the only 2 championships I'm running in, so it's a lot more. But yeah, especially the GT 500 is just such a monster of a competition. If you look at the guys that are competing there, what feels like tube temps, especially the last race in Oschersleben with the Toyota, it was amazing fun, and I hope it continues like that.
Brilliant. Leon, thank you so much for joining us, and well done tonight. We'll see you for the GT 500 next week, and then, of course, Sachsenring for round 4 for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Well done tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much, and see you there.
So, really good to hear from Leon Harhoff. I mean, Kieran, your first experience of the road to the Sim Racing Expo, you've gone from the frying pan into the fire, both feet first. How have you found it tonight?
Oh, I've enjoyed it. I mean, when you come to it, it seems daunting at the time, but you just get fired into it with some great racing action and move around the outside for a lead of the race. What's not to love? I'm instantly hooked, and I don't know. It's going to be a fantastic season, and I'm fully on board with this. If I wasn't already before, I definitely am now.
Great stuff to hear. We have to say a big thank you to everyone watching at home on both our YouTube and Twitch streams. Don't forget, tickets are still available. Get them whilst you can, because it's the 10th anniversary of the Sim Racing Expo. Bearing in mind a little bit of number checking for you. 11 exhibitors were at the Nürburgring on the Boulevard back in 2014. and 2024 is going to be the biggest, brightest and boldest sim racing expo yet. So head to our friends over at traction.gg, get your discounts on either your daily or your weekend tickets. They are selling like hotcakes at the moment. They've got the very best from around the globe in terms of sim racing hardware, peripherals, software, and so much more. A big thank you to Asetek Simsports for their continued partnership and also supporting the community trophy. Our friends over at Gridfinder, Logitech G, SimStaff, and our newest partners would be Ready, Set, Sim. You know what? I am waiting. Let's just see. Leonardo Passioni wants to have a quick chat. So we might have to, let's just see. We might have him here. Well, we've got Lorenzo Luccicusi trying to come in. So let's bring in Lorenzo for a second, actually. Lorenzo, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Well, firstly, welcome to the post-race interview room. I was just about to sign off, but you jumped into the comms waiting.
Yeah,
a
but
very,
I
very.
don't even know if I'm on the podium, honestly, because I finished P8.
Well, you finished P3 in the first race, so that's one good thing. But that's been your best result so far, I would imagine, in the community trophy, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially the first race. Never been on the podium.
And just talk us through how difficult it was, going from, like, say, Nürburgring sprint, where you were running at the bottom part of the top 10 to finally get that top 3 finish. That must have been a very good feeling.
Yeah, especially I like the track now because the first 2 races I had a lot of difficulties in slow corners, especially on the Nürburgring on the right-hander that cuts all the south part of the GP layout.
So, obviously, a difficult race too. Talk us through it from your perspective.
Mainly, I just concentrated a lot. I got finally into a nice flow state, and but unfortunately, the second race I spun trying to overtake on turn 1, and actually, on the last lap, I broke my paddle shifter, and I couldn't upshift. I was like prying my fingernail inside the broken shift and trying to go up to the gears.
Oh, that's not what you want, having a hardware failure, especially paddle shift when you're shifting up gears. But going into the penultimate round in a couple of weeks at Sachsenring, this gives you, tonight's results give you a nice addition to your points tally. How confident are you feeling ahead of the next race?
I don't know. We'll have to see how I find myself with the track. I never raced on Sachsenring, maybe just a couple of times in fun races, but never on an esport competition. So we'll have to see how the car adapts to the track and how I adapt to the track.
Well, Lorenzo, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to this evening?
To Leonardo Passoni, my teammate, which helped me a lot with getting my lap times down.
Brilliant. Lorenzo Luccicusi, well done tonight with the P3 in race 1, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the penultimate round of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy.
Thank you.
Well, last but by no means least, let's bring in the man who's dominated all of tonight. Leonardo Passioni, fantastic work. Pole position in time qualifying and both race wins. You must be feeling on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me actually? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was quite clean, I have to say. I didn't know this track before, but I found the layout very good for my driving style, so I enjoyed driving here. Qualifying was pretty clean. I didn't find an especially quick lap, but it was enough to be on pole, and then to manage in race 1. I had a lot of pressure from Harov behind, so it was pretty fast too, and we had a good race. And then race 2 was a bit more confused, and there was a bit of a mess into lap 1 where I was sandwiched between 2 cars. And and from there onwards, I tried to fight my way through the field, and I got some good moves around the outside. So it was also good fun in race 2, I have to say. So yeah, I had
It's,
fun.
especially that move round the outside of Julius Visa and Don
Okay.
Leonardo. That one,
You saw that from the live?
we saw that
Ah.
literally. Even our broadcast director Ryan said, "Did you want a replay of that overtake?" And I was like, "Yes, please." So that's going to hit the highlight reel for round 4 in a couple of weeks' time. But you'd put yourself in the right position. You put yourself alongside Julius Visa, so you had the slipstream from Maynardo, you had the side toe, and then you literally just went, right, it's either win it or bin it, and you just threw it around the outside. It was poetry in motion, Leonardo.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, exactly as you said, because I was trying to get another slipstream ahead because I knew if I got past the guy ahead before turn 1, then he would have got another slipstream on the next straight. So I tried to just wait a little before overtaking, and I fortunately got a slipstream in front of me, which helped me quite a bit. Then the other guy went to the inside, but I saw he braked a little bit earlier than I was expecting. So at that moment, I was not really thinking so much. I just just said to myself, try to go around the outside and see what happens. And if you crash, then let it be. So fortunately, it was good, and we had no contact, and it was pretty clean. So good.
Kieran, any questions to Leonardo from your side?
I mean, Leonardo, what a fantastic performance from you tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
You're on cloud 9, as Alex said. Coming into this, confidence ablaze. I mean, everything you did out on the track tonight worked to perfection. It's like you baked a cake, put the cherry on top. I mean, how does that make you feel heading into 2 weeks' time for the penultimate round?
No, it's good. I mean, it's a strong feeling, obviously, because I was I think the fastest guy out there. So yeah, good feeling for the next round. And I was really sorry that I had to miss the second round because of personal things. But yeah, so now I'm back. So very good performance. So yeah, put me really happy for the next round as well.
Well, Leonardo, great job. Complimenti, well done.
Thank you.
Fantastic work. And anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Oh, I don't know, everyone in my team, and the guy who was speaking before, Lorenzo, he was trying very hard, and yeah, I would like to thank him because he raced alongside me. We were in the same Discord channel, and we had chats during the race. So I would like to thank him for the company and the fun that we had tonight. And of course, everyone who participated in the race, obviously.
Brilliant. Leonardo Passioni, you now put yourself level on points provisionally with Igor Wachowski, so you're now in the hunt for the title. So
Yeah.
with that performance, I'm sure we've got fireworks coming from you in the next coming rounds, but well done tonight, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, let's hope. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, on that big bombshell, folks, that's it for us here at the SimRacing Expo Asetek Simsports Community Trophy for round 3. A big thank you to our partners, Asetek Simsports, Gridfinder, Logitech G, SimStaff, Traction.gg. Head to them for your tickets for the SimRacing Expo, and also our newest partners, Ready, Set, Sim. So on behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, Kieran McGinley, and our man behind the cameras, Ryan Gill, it's good night. See you next time in 1 week's time for the halfway point of the digital GT500. Good night.